Hello everyone and welcome back to Prestige Reef. When it comes to selecting corals, there are four main types to choose from: soft, LPS, SPS, and non-photosynthetic. Although the next statement is a little too generic to cover all coral species, these can essentially be labelled as easy, medium, hard, and extra hard in that order. This can only be used as a rough guide, however, as there are some easy SPS corals and some impossible soft corals. The best thing to do is ask the name of what you're interested in and do your research before you purchase. We all know this is an expensive hobby, and not making impulse buys is probably the easiest way to save yourself a lot of money in the long run. So what makes soft corals easier than others? They have a lower lighting and flow requirement, actually do better in a slightly higher nutrient tank, and unlike LPS and SPS corals, they don't have a hard skeleton, which means their demand for calcium, magnesium and alkalinity is greatly reduced. Therefore, many can survive in less than optimum conditions, which is often the state of many beginner tanks. Opinions differ on when to buy your first coral, with some people suggesting you can get it from day one. I personally feel the tank should be cycled and the aquarist is confident with maintaining water chemistry with their first fish before attempting any types of coral. I started with a fish only system, so it was a year before I added my first coral. However, that is excessive. Having said that, 8 years later, I still had my very first piece, despite many beginner mistakes. Your tank will be an ever-changing canvas, therefore there is no hurry to fill it up in the first couple of months anyway. A quick word of warning: most soft corals, including the ones on this list, have the ability to grow out of control reasonably quickly if left unchecked. Therefore regular pruning is required. The first coral on my list has got to be the very first coral I ever purchased, which is a finger coral, and as I said, I had mine 8 years later, and would probably still have it had I not changed the direction my tank was going. They come in a range of sizes, colours and species, although pink and brown are the most common coloration, and if supplied with appropriate flow, they can add a nice sway to the tank. Their growth is rapid, with mine starting from just a single finger and grew to over 1.5 feet wide, despite many frag sessions. Due to their rapid growth and the fact they're easy to propagate, many hobbyists will be more than happy to cut you off a piece, meaning they're commonly available and often inexpensive. I used to give mine away for free. When choosing a specimen, make sure its fluffy feeding polyps are out, and although feeding isn't required, they are more than happy to take small particle food out of the water column. The second coral on my list are mushroom corals. Once again, they are hardy, come in a range of shapes and sizes, but also have drastically different colours and textures. Most are inexpensive, however there's some very expensive varieties which have popped up over the last few years. The cheaper varieties, unfortunately, are some of the biggest offenders for taking over a tank, and one of my old tanks was literally covered in them, because they were left to their own devices. The easiest way to propagate them is to place a rock next to a group of them. Given the right conditions, before long they will spread onto the rock, which can then be removed. My final choice would be toadstool corals. They have a similar requirement to finger corals and once again grow massive. This one here was mine from about 7 years ago, and it was almost 2 feet wide. Over the years, people often end up with odd shaped toadstools where they frag parts of them. When fragging them, it's best to cut off the outer ring, kind of like a pineapple, and divide it up, because it will keep the toadstool a nice round shape. Both these and finger corals are a type of leather coral, and something to be aware of is that all leather corals have the ability to produce a chemical which has the ability to stunt the growth of hard corals. It's important to know that even though these corals are easier than most, they still require the same care and attention as some of the harder species. You should still strive to have optimum water conditions. Although they can survive in less than perfect, they too have their limits. I hope you enjoyed watching my video. Please feel free to comment below if you have any questions. If you enjoyed this video, why not click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Have a good week and I'll see you next time. As always, I just want to say a massive thank you to the people supporting me on Patreon. Never underestimate the value of what you do with regards to keeping this channel going. You've all been brilliant. Thank you.